Right, the first thing that we're going to be looking at is how to turn on the lights. So there is a lighting panel here, and there is a switch instruction guide here. So as soon as you come in, you can turn all the lights on by pressing the middle button here, which correlates to the one here. You can have them all off, but when you put all on, the AV room does not come on, so you do have to press that separately. But the most important one that you need to know is all on. So that's how you turn the lights on. There may be times when you come into the church and there won't be any power, so you'll actually need to come down to the power points and turn them on. There will be some that have masking tape on them, so don't touch those ones, but you can switch the rest of the switches on, just like so. Okay, now I'm going to be showing you how to turn on the cameras in the church. So the first thing that you're going to do is press power on the receiver and on the TV. Once that warms up, you'll see that that image will come up, and you can actually switch between images by switching to that camera, which also you're able to using this view stick, I suppose you would call it, to actually move around the church. So it gives you a little bit more control. So that's how you turn on and use the camera features in the church. The next thing I'm going to show you is music. Now we have the option of using CDs, or we now have an iPod dock. When you're using CDs, the CD volume is over here, so if you need to change the volume, you need to go over to this little device here. If you're using the CD player, you need to press on and then placing your CD inside. When using the iPod dock, it is an old 16-pin dock. If you come and see me, I do have the converter that allows you to use a wire cable. Every now and then it is a little, you have to push it forward a little bit. If there is an issue, I just place a something behind it and it props it up and moves it a little forward, and then it will work perfectly. So that's how you use music in the church. When turning on the computer, you need to make sure that it's on by just switching on the screen. Sometimes the screen has just been switched off. If it says no signal, then it means that you need to go to the tower and turn the tower on. So you're just pressing the power button and the screen will come on. Once you have your screen up, you'll be able to put on your PowerPoint. Now it's really important that it is a PowerPoint file and not a Google Docs file, because it will not work with the configuration of the PowerPoints, the projectors, sorry. So you need to make sure that it is a PowerPoint, and placing it onto the screen, onto the desktop, just to make sure that if there is any bumps during the Mass with your USB, that it doesn't turn off. So it's just a little bit of a safety mechanism so that you don't have things turn off in the middle of your Mass. Now, this is just an example of a Mass that we had a few weeks ago. When you place this up, it will not actually acknowledge it on the screens as yet. You actually have to go to slideshow and from the beginning, or from the current slide if that's what you were after, and the screen will look like this on the computer screen. It will not look like this on the projectors, but this just allows us to be able to have a look at what is coming up along the bottom, and if Father has skipped anything or is moving on to something else, you can actually see which slide he's up to and click on that immediately. So that's how you use the computer element. I'm now going to show you how to turn on the screens so that we have all of the screens up and working during the Mass. So the first thing that you will be doing is turning on the big screens that are out the front. So you turn on and on, so you click here and then click here, and that will turn on the screens. If you, when we want to put on the smaller screens, it is just here. So all you have to do is press on, and that will turn on all of the smaller displays in the church. So if we have a look outside, the screens are all turning on. And that's how you turn on the screens. You'll also see that here on the computer, as I mentioned, it looks like this, but on the screen, on the projectors, it just has the main slide that it's on. Now there have been occasions where the remotes have not been working for the projectors. So if that does happen, don't panic, there is another way to set them manually, and I'll show you how to do that now. So to set the projectors manually, you'll need to come behind the main projectors and just move through, and there is a door behind. So if you just go into the door, and you will see that there are two projectors inside this unit. So all you need to do is to go in and press the power button on each one, and yeah, and then you are ready to go. So that's how to manually turn on the PowerPoint screens at the front of the church. When you're wanting to use the gospel for the gospel procession, if you go into the adjacent room, you will see the gospel just here. So all you need to do is have a printout of the gospel, and then you place it inside and just paperclip it so that it's ready to go. So that's how we organize the gospel. So here are the remotes for the air conditioning. There are two. Often the Acolyte will have one, as well as there being one in the AV room. To use these, you just point it at the unit and press the on button or the off button. So if we are ever in Mass and you or the children are feeling particularly cold or particularly warm, and you'd like to adjust the temperature or turn it on or off altogether, just feel free to come into the AV room and make the changes yourself. Now, in turning on the microphone, so I'm standing at the ambo, and just underneath the ambo is the microphone unit. So on this unit there is, focus. Just here there is a switch that says on, off or mute. So if you just switch it to on, and you'll see a green light appear. If there is any issues and it's not turning on, there are batteries just beside it ready so that it can be recharged. To put new batteries in, you just need to turn it over. Oh, sorry, not turn it over. It just slides down like so, and you just place the battery in there. So that is how to turn on the microphone, and if there's any issues either during Mass or before Mass, you can just replace the battery. Now, if you have a look around, the Stations of the Cross are actually out at the moment, and I'm going to be showing you how to turn on the Stations of the Cross light display. So just over to the side of the church, near where the organ is, there is this box here, which has a little white extension cord out of it. You just need to flip that switch, and the stations will turn on. So that's how to turn on the Stations of the Cross. So sometimes you will need to have extra seating in the church. If that needs to happen, you can actually remove the bars around the baptismal font. So to do this, you just take this, pull it out, and then you can remove all of them. So just pulling out these little connectors, and then you can place them in the AV room and use the chairs from the chapel to be able to have extra seating for the large parties that we'll have. If the Mass has all music live and you're not required to use an iPod or any of the CDs or anything in the room, you can actually also use the portable flipper. So that is just in this box here, so just up here, and inside there is this little unit, and inside this little unit, I'm trying to open it one-handed. Oops. So we have our little flipper or clicker, and we have this little USB. So once you place that USB in to the computer, like so, you'll be able to change the slide by just clicking through, so that then you'll be able to actually sit with the congregation and participate in the Mass. And obviously, once Mass is finished, if you could just make sure that everything has been put back to where you have found it, or made sure everything is turned off before exiting the church, unless you've spoken to the acolyte and the acolyte is doing something. Otherwise, if everything could just be turned off and back in order, ready for our next Mass. Thank you.